Hello. So over this past week, I had the opportunity to observe Mr. Bergman's fourth grade music class. Although it did not get to be in person due to some crazy circumstances, I still feel I had the chance to learn a lot from this experience. So, as I watched this classroom, he started up by setting up the camera, and then a few minutes later, the kids started to file into the class. And just from the behavior that they demonstrated by walking in, I could tell that the kids had a very clear understanding of what was expected of them. They walked in extremely quietly, and then there was a square carpet in the center of the floor that had graphics all over it, and they were squares with different types of musical, notes or instruments and stuff on it, and it was actually quite cute. Each kid came in and sat down on a specific square surrounding the perimeter of the carpet, and this carpet was oriented away from the window and towards a smartboard. And so I feel that he had his classroom set up like this to promote A, kids not getting distracted by looking out the window, and B, making sure, so on the carpet, having all the musical notes and stuff, it kind of gets them in the headspace of learning about music, and then having them facing the board gets them on task. And so then, after talking about the setup and all that stuff, the kids filing into the room, what's expected, he started to do a vocal warm-up as soon as the kids sat down. He did not give them time to talk and stuff, keeping them immediately on task, and this foreshadows how he treated the rest of the class. So as he started doing this vocal warm-up, I noticed that his vocal range, as he is an adult male, he sang in the range that the kids could also sing in. It was extremely high in his head voice, in his falsetto, which kind of took me off guard at first because I thought it sounded silly. But immediately I realized, of course, he's singing so that they're able to understand what they have to do as well, because they can't sing as deep as him. And so I almost never really thought of that and appreciated that he did that. So then, the pace of the class for the rest of the duration, it was about a 40-minute long class that I observed. Every single exercise that they did, it was back to back to back. There was no time in between, except for when he would have them stand up, change position. They would move. He occasionally, if they were sitting for too long, have them walk around the room, do stomping exercises where they stomped on the beat. And not only did this, I took it as helping kids who may not learn visually, or auditory, kind of help more in a tactile sense, learn this is how you keep a steady beat, or this is how you do this type of rhythm by doing different stuff rather than just sitting there and singing along. And so, pace of the class helped keep all the kids on focus, and it was back to back to back. And what I realized his main technique of teaching was he used a lot of call and response. And so what he would do, most of the time he would either run over to the keyboard, give them a set of pitches, and lead them from the keyboard, which in my opinion, the keyboard was out of the frame, so I couldn't see it in the video that I was watching, but it seemed a little out of the way, which I personally would try to change to get him more in front of the class. But other times he would have a guitar strapped around his shoulder, and so that he was able to walk around the classroom, making sure that all kids on every corner of the carpet were engaged and watching. And so, yeah, he would often start by strumming a melody, and he would sing along with this melody, which I really liked, because as the kids are listening to this melody, getting the sound in their head, they're getting the melody in their head, and they're also kind of understanding the instructions, kind of killing two birds with one stone, I guess. And so, yeah, I really, really enjoyed observing his class. A few things that I would change is when he had to administer discipline, which I could only count easily less than 5 times because the kids were so well behaved and understood what was expected of them. Sometimes it came off as a little harsh, at least to me, but he was always sure, which I really liked, to follow up within seconds. He would administer he would make sure he would compliment somebody on their good behavior, which I really appreciated. So overall, it was a very positive experience, and I'm glad I got the experience to watch his class.